Hello, welcome to this module. My name is Prince Will, and in this module, it is titled The Sales Objection Crushkit. Now, in this module, what we're going to be discussing in very specific terms is how to crush objections, right? If you can hear me loud and clear, crisp, just leave a comment and let me know that you can hear me, all right? Let me see those comments. Just let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. Very important. Loud and clear. Okay. So in this module, what we're going to be covering is how to crush objections. When you're trying to make money by selling stuff, people are going to have all sorts of resistance as to why they shouldn't buy, right? But you have one goal. Your goal is to make a sale because that is how you make money. Okay? Your goal is to make a sale because that is how you make money. And anything that comes between you and the sale, all it is to you is just an objection. And your only goal is to crush that objection because that is what is standing between you and the money you're supposed to make. Right? So in this module, I'm going to go over everything, the psychology, and bring it right down to the exact responses, the exact words, the frame, the structure of everything that goes into crushing objections. Because, mind you, crushing objections is an art, right? It's a form of art. And if you want to understand this better and see it in full display, there's some movies I can recommend that you watch, right? When you're free, you have 2 hours to spare. You all should go check out the movie The Wolf of Wall Street. It's a movie about sales, right? To make you laugh and you enjoy it, and you might pick one or two things about sales. But away from movies and back to the class. Now, in this module, like I said before, we're going to be talking about how to crush sales objections. Okay, now in this class, I'm going to be going over something I call the no pressure closing script on one call, right? But how do you get here? A lot of things happen before you get to the point where you are about to crush objections. If you're not generating leads, you are never going to get to this point, right? If you're not getting people into your pre-sale, right? Your webinars, you're not going to get to this point. If you have not set up your sales funnel, you're not going to have any business with anybody, having objections because you're not doing all the things that is going to take to get people to this point, right? So you'll be following the sequence of the classes. We've structured into such a manner that if you've done everything right from the beginning of this class to now, you would have gotten to this point where the leads you have generated, you have introduced them to the product you're trying to sell using a pre-sale, a webinar, a class, a video, and now they've come back to you and they're asking questions, right? And you may not have the exact words, you may not know the exact way to respond to particular questions or objections that they may have. And sometimes, or most times, one of the best ways to crush all these objections is to get on the phone with your lead, right? When you're starting out and you have, say, 10 to 20 leads per day, you can easily get on the phone with 4 to 5 people per day and close them. Easy peasy. And that's what I want to show you in this class today, right? With a one call, no pressure, closing script. All right. Now, after the pre-sale stage, right? After you've used whether organic or paid traffic to generate leads, right? And you've done your pre-sale, maybe introduce them to a webinar or a sales video or a video sales letter, your high quality leads are going to come back with questions because now from what you have shown them, they are very interested and they want to know more. It's now up to you to handle them the right way so they can pay for the product that you're trying to sell. So now, how do you handle them? Now, before we even get to this part, very important warning. Any of your leads that doesn't go through the webinar, do not attempt to close those people. You are going to be wasting your time. Matter of fact, never ever do it. When you generate a lead, they come into your WhatsApp, you have them save your number, you save their own, they confirm they've done it, you introduce them to your pre-sale. If they haven't gone through that pre-sale content, the webinar, sales video, video sales letter, a group class, they haven't gone through that, because that is where the entire bulk of work of explaining the entire offer, breaking down all the big words and everything that your product is about is going to happen. If they haven't gone through that, right, do not attempt to close them. I don't care who you are. If you're, Tony or Motosho, if you're Jordan Belfort, if you're, right, Gary Halbert, so, all the biggest salesmen in the world. If you have not gone through a pre-sale, nobody can close you, because there is no frame of reference, right? Sometimes a webinar or a video sales letter can be as long as 40 minutes, 45 minutes, because it's going to take a while to introduce somebody to something new, right? You cannot now attempt to do all the work that the webinar, takes almost an hour to do over a phone call of, say, 5 to 10 minutes, right? So never ever do it. So anyone of your leads that hasn't gone through your webinar, gone through your pre-sale content, do not attempt to close them. When they come to you, and the first thing you should try to do is confirm if they've gone through your pre-sale. If they haven't, you end the conversation and redirect them back. You redirect them back to your pre-sale content. Okay? Very, very important. The only people that you're going to be talking to on a sales call are the people who have gone through your pre-sale, right? So just want to reiterate that one phone call will never be able to replace the 45 minutes webinar. These webinars, they frame the mind of the prospect. If the prospect is not willing to commit to understanding the product, or understanding what you're trying to sell to them by attending a class, watching a video, attending a webinar, it's best you let the prospect walk away. Do you understand? It's best you let the prospect walk away, because they are not interested in what you're trying to sell at all, right? So that should be your first job. So after you have confirmed that the person has gone through the webinar, gone through the sales content, right? Then a sales call to close them is now, okay to have. So now, once a prospect gets back to you after, watching the webinar, going through a video sales letter, they're going to come and inform you, oh, I've gone through it, so what's next, right? Now, the first question you should always ask them is this: what questions do I need to answer for you before I get you started today, right? So depending on the product that you're selling, let's say Blessing's prospect comes back to her and tells Blessing, oh, Blessing, I've gone through I've watched the webinar. I really, found it interesting. Yeah. And they just end there. So your Blessing's response is going to be, okay, let's say the prospect name is Nzube. Nzube, what questions do I need to answer for you right now before I get you started, right? And, before I get you started by buying this product, before I get you started, bring on the product that you're selling. Now, the next reply is going to be the prospect. They're going to go ahead to state an objection, right? Or state a question that is, in fact, an objection. Now, it is very important that you understand why they are asking the question that they're asking before you can begin to respond. If you don't understand where the question is coming from, you will just be answering, weirdly and awkward. You won't have the responses that push them towards closing the sale. Okay, but I'll guide you on that. So now the next thing that happens is, after the prospect asks the question, right? Now I don't know what this question is going to be, but after the prospect asks the question, I can assure you that that question is in fact an objection, and I'll have several examples in this class to let you know some of the questions that your prospect are going to ask you and how you can answer them. Right now. So whatever the question is and they ask it, don't be in a hurry to answer it. Right? You want to know whether it's just one objection, whether there's a bunch of objections, so that you are able to commit them. So they know that once this objection is tackled, right, I have to get this product. So your reply should be along the lines of, all right, this is Blessing now talking to her prospect. And she's going to say something like, all right, so Uzube, if I could answer these questions for you, would there be any more questions to solve before we get you started today? Right? Now, there are only two responses to this. It's either they have another question or they say yes. Right? So if they have another question, you take that, you note it until they tell you, okay, that's all the questions. So now you know that if I brilliantly answer these objections for this person, then they can purchase this product and try and sell to them. Right? Now, the goal here is for you to adopt the doctor-patient relationship. Now, when you're sick and you go to the hospital, right, the doctor doesn't do all the talking. He tells you to come into his consulting room. You sit down, and you are the one talking. He asks you, "How are you?" And you start talking. Doctor, he's doing me like this. They do me like this. My head, my hand, my leg. And doctor is listening to you and is taking notes, right? So you want to see yourself as the doctor in this situation, and the prospect is the patient who you are trying to treat. So you want to listen and listen while they talk and talk. The person who listens the most during a sales call is the person that wins the sale. Okay? Very important. The person who listens the most during a sales call is the person who wins the sale. So you don't want to be the one talking and talking and talking. Let the prospect talk and you listen. And as you're listening, you're taking notes. Okay? Now, like I said, you ask the question to get all the objections, and you ask them, so if I could answer these questions for you, would there be any more questions to solve before we get you started today? And there are only two responses to this question. It's either there are no other questions or there's another question, and they go ahead to state the question. And you keep on asking this particular question until they tell you there are no other questions. Right? That way, you now have all the objections in one place. Okay? So now that you have all the objections, it's now time for you to counter them. Right? Now that you have all the objections that the prospect has, it's now time for you to counter them. And once you do a good job of countering them, remember, the prospect has already committed to you by saying, oh, these are all the objections I have. And once you're able to counter them, right, there's nothing standing between me and getting started. Okay? All right. Now, step one, before you begin to attempt to counter any objections, there's some ground things we need to have, taken care of. Now, you need to have posture. I'm going to explain what posture is. First, you need to realize that you are the one bringing value to the table, right? You should be willing to walk away from a sale. Never ever be desperate, right? So remove that desperation from your head, right? You are never supposed to be desperate to make a sale. When you're desperate, right, the person you're trying to sell to can smell it. Your desperation is going to appear in your words, in your tone, in your body language, in everything that you're going to be doing. Your desperation will shine. And that's not what you want to shine. The thing that should be shining is confidence. And how do you build this confidence? Now, you're going to build this confidence by making sure that you have done enough research on the product and the niche that you're trying to sell. And you have become a subject matter authority on it. Now, for example, let me just give a quick example. A while ago, I was trying to go buy a smartphone. I needed another Android smartphone. So I went to Ikeja. Ikeja there's a market in Lagos, Nigeria, where lots of phone retailers have their shops. And I walked into this big store, and I didn't have any brand in mind. I just knew I wanted a phone with a really big RAM, right? That wouldn't cost me more than 200,000 naira, right? That's all I had in the back of my mind. So I was ready for anybody to sell me anything. So I walked into the store. I saw this lady. She had a Redmi shirt. So I told her, I looked around. I saw the banner of the latest Redmi phone. I said, "Oh, okay. How much is the Redmi 11 Pro?" And she told me the price, but I wanted more information about the spec. So I asked her, "Okay, what's the size of the RAM?" She didn't know. She said, "Oh, I'm coming. Let me go and check." And she left. I was still standing there. Like say 10 seconds later, she came back. She told me. I said, "Oh, nice. So what's the size? What's the size of the back camera and the front camera?" Right? All those basic questions. I just want to find out. I want to find out if she knew about the phone. And she said, "Oh, let me go and check again." And she left. By then, I was already pissed. Oh, this girl is, she's obviously a Redmi staff, and she knows nothing about this product. She's going to be going back and forth each time I ask her a question about the product. Then as I was standing there when she had gone out, someone else came to me. She was wearing an Oppo shirt. So she was an Oppo sales person, right? Now these people are all in sales. Now this person that came to me, she said, "Oh, bros, you want to buy a phone?" I said, "Yes." So she said, "Oh, have you seen this Oppo A96?" I said, I've not seen it though. Tell me about it." She said, "The phone has 8 gig RAM. The back camera is, I think she said 12 megapixel. The front is like 5 megapixel. Look at the refresh rate of the CPU is like, she told me the Android version. She just kept on rolling out the specs. I was like, wow. She says she even told me, you can even expand the RAM to 10 gig if you want. I was like, okay, okay. I was impressed. Now, what's the difference between these two people? One knew a lot about the product she was trying to sell. The other person did not know anything about the product she was trying to sell. And that product knowledge is what separated two of them. I ended up buying an Oppo. Remember, I did not have any products in mind, but I ended up buying an Oppo. And the biggest factor that made me buy that Oppo smartphone was because the salesperson had a good product knowledge of what they were trying to sell. So she was able to sell it more confidently than the other person. So it's very important that you know every single thing about the product you're trying to sell. If you don't know everything about the product you're trying to sell, don't start selling it. Do the work of understanding the product. Do research. Use Google. Use YouTube. Type in keywords about the product you're trying to sell and consume content. So you really, really understand what you're trying to sell. You cannot be a car salesman and they ask you, "Oh, how many seconds does it take this car to go from 0 to 60 kilometers per hour?" And you don't know, right? That's the product you sell. The common questions about that product, the answers to them should be at your fingertips, right? That is what is called product knowledge, and nobody can do it for you. You're the only person that can do it for yourself if you're going to sell anything, right? So that's the step one. If you don't have product knowledge, you will never be able to counter any sales objection. Let's get that one clear. Okay, great. Now, step two is you need to understand that sales is a game of numbers. Sales is a game of numbers. Not everybody is going to tell you yes. So you need to be unemotional about your leads. You need to not be emotional, right? Sales is all about the what? Numbers. If you get 100 leads, out of that 100 leads, you are able to get, say, 30% of them or 40% of them to go through your pre-sale content. At the end of the day, you're able to close, say, another 10% of the people that went through your pre-sale content. At the end of the day, you're able to close 3 to 4 people, right? That is a decent ratio. So if you want more sales, you get more leads, right? You cannot be talking to the same 4 people or the same 5 people over a month and then complain that you don't have sales. You need to be working on the numbers. That's the number of leads, getting more leads, more and more leads, more and more leads. You need to always be getting a lot of leads to fill your pipeline. The more leads you're getting, the more eyes you have on your webinars, the more sales calls you're getting on and the more sales you close, right? So confidence, product knowledge, and then actively getting a lot of leads every single day, because sales is a game of numbers. Now, number three thing that you need to know is timing. Timing. Timing is very important. Timing here means that make sure you are talking to the right people, right? It's one thing to be generating leads. It's one thing to be generating leads that are wrong people. You cannot be selling a product that is about weight loss and then all the leads you're generating are people that are slim. So you're talking to the wrong people. You cannot be trying to sell a product that teaches people how to make money online, and then all the leads you're generating are people who are making about $100,000 a year, and you are selling them a product that's going to teach them how to make an extra 100K monthly. So you need to be talking to the people who are primed to take action on the product that you're selling at that time of their life. You need to be talking to the people who are in need of the product that you're selling. Now, this is where your targeting comes into play, right? You need to be talking to the right people. If you're not talking to the right people, it doesn't matter what you say on the sales call, it won't make any sense to them because they are not the target audience. They don't need your product. Another example I want to give is, let's say you're selling a product that costs somewhere around, say, 60K, 50K, and then you're generating leads of, say, 16-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 18-year-olds, right? It depends on the part of the world that you're living in, right? I currently live in Nigeria, and from market intelligence and data that I've seen, it's not very common to find 16, 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds who can afford 60K, 60,000 naira on an information, product. That's because most times the people in that age bracket have not started anything. They are most likely in school, still depending on their parents. They are most likely still dependent. So these are the things that would factor when you are generating your leads, right? Talking to the right people, generating the right type of leads, right, would make sure that the when you get on sales calls, when you're trying to close people, you are speaking to the right kind of people. Okay, that's why timing is really, really important. The fourth thing I want to talk about here is gauging the energy, right? Some people might be the right type of people. You might have all the product knowledge. You might also have all the confidence, but they are the wrong fit for the product because they are just not interested. They are just not interested. It's not your fault. Your webinar is not the fault of your personality. And you only pitch your products when you know that the prospect you're speaking to is interested in the product you're selling. It doesn't matter. Me personally, for instance, I am a digital entrepreneur, right? All my life, the only way I've made money is online. But there are some things, there are some niches online that I just don't find them comfortable. For instance, there's nothing anybody will tell me in this world about Forex that will make me do it. Now, it doesn't mean that Forex is a bad idea. I have friends who make a killing trading the Forex market. But then I like crypto, right? If you're talking to me about crypto, I want to listen. Now, there are some people who don't like crypto for anything. For example, the richest man in the world, Warren Buffett, he doesn't believe in cryptocurrency, right? So he might be in your funnel, for instance, and he can afford it, but if you're speaking to him, you're going to find out that from his energy, this person just is not interested in crypto. It doesn't matter what you say. he doesn't believe that it is real money. Warren Buffett does not believe that crypto is real money, right? He's old school like that. And that's it. Okay, so you need to have the emotional intelligence to always gauge the energy when you're speaking with people on a sales call. All right, so let's get into the objections. Now, you pitch your product to a prospect, and the first objection they probably hit you with is, look, I don't have time. I don't have time to use this product. I won't have time to engage in this. I won't have time. Now they like it, they're interested in it, but then they're telling you that, oh, I don't think I want to go for that because I don't have time. Right? So your next response should be along the lines of, let's say the person's name is Mr. X. So, Mr. X, are you ready to get started today if I can help you get the time needed for you to win doing this business? Now, you are assuring them that, look, if I can solve this time problem for you right now, are you going to get ready? Are you ready to get started today? Now, the reason why this question is framed like this is so that you can get the prospect to say the word yes. It's very important that you are getting your prospect to affirm positively. Once your prospect is affirming positively, mentally, you are pushing them towards the point where they agree to buy the product. So it's always very important that you are asking them questions that you already know the answer to, right? If someone said they don't have time and you assure them that, look, if I can help you get the time that you need, are you going to get ready to get started today? Are you ready to get started today? Right? The answer to this question is most likely going to be yes, unless there's another objection. Now, if they say no, it means there's another objection. So you also hear the objection and take note of it. Now, once they say yes to that question, of course, the next response you have to give them is to solve the question, to solve the problem of time. Now, this is where you ask the prospects questions around why they don't think they have the time. Oh, I work 9 to 5. I don't have the time. When will I be able to do this? So let's say you're trying to pitch them to buy 7 firm, for instance, and the person doesn't think, oh, they will have time to engage in affiliate marketing. And you ask them a question like, oh, are you able to devote at least 1 hour every day when you come back from work, or 1 hour in the morning, right, to your business? Is that something you're able to do? Right? So you see that you're not making it big, right? You're not making it big. 1 hour. Are you able to devote 1 hour, right? Because if they can do 1 hour, they can find an extra 30 minutes. If they can find an extra 1 hour, 30 minutes, right? With time, they can find an extra 2 hours to put into their business every day. Right? So if you're not able to break it down for them that, look, if you're able to do this thing, to devote 1 hour per day in your business and put 7 hours every week in this, you can find the time. Does that sound fair enough? Right? And the prospect goes ahead to say, yes, it does. Okay. Now that you are constantly asking them questions that is pushing them closer to the point where they keep on saying yes, 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 right? You're framing your questions so that they can answer yes to it, because now they say they don't have time. Now you made them say yes to the fact that if you can help them solve the time problem, would they be able to get started? Now they say yes. Now you go ahead to ask more questions to find out what the situation is with them that makes it not to have time. And then you break it down to the barest minimum by saying, oh, the minimum you should be able to do is 1 hour per day. And you should be able to get started and win with this. Does that sound fair for you? And they say, oh, okay, yes. And you go ahead to form another question like, all right, Mr. X, seeing how we can make the time for you to get started with this business model, do you have anything against getting started today? Right? Now, if they say yes, they have something against it, it means they're about to bring out another objection, which will show you how to counter. But they say no, it means they're now ready to get your product. Then you cannot give them more information on how to pay for it. So that is the psychology around how you discuss with your prospects when they're about to when you're pushing them towards the direction of closing a sale. Okay. Now, objection two. This one is very popular. Oh, I don't have the money. Oh, I don't have the money. Now, most of the time, this objection is a bold-faced lie, right? The truth is this: if you've done the proper work of targeting the right leads, having the right framing in your webinars, right, you'll be able to filter off people who are in very unfortunate circumstances where this product is not for them, right? But people who have reasonable income and are able to afford your product, but still go ahead to tell you stuff like, I don't have money, right? And the truth is they have the money, but it's a priority battle. They are currently seeing the opportunity you're giving them or the product you're giving them as a spend and not an investment. And let me explain. Now, let's say, for example, I'm working, I currently have like 100,000 naira in my bank account, right? But in my head, I'm already thinking, oh, this 100K I have now, next month, I want to use 50K to buy a new shoe. I want to also use 20K to change my phone screen. So how much is left? 30K is left. So you see that in my head, I have put some needs down for that 100K. It's 50K for a shoe, it's 20K to repair my phone screen, and maybe the extra 30K for some other things I don't know yet. Now, the goal of this conversation is for you to now present your product as worthy enough of displacing that shoe from that 50K position. You want to be able to speak with your prospects in a manner that is going to make them reshuffle their priorities so that they now see your product as worthy enough of taking that top spot. You want to make them see the opportunity or the product you're putting in front of them as an investment and not a spend. Now, if you're able to frame by the end of this particular by the time you finish countering this objection, the goal is for them to see that investment as, oh, if I do this thing, I'll probably make more money and be able to buy 3 more shoes. Now, you see that they don't now see it as a spend. They now see it as an investment. So they now say, oh, okay, if I don't buy the shoe next month, I probably will be able to afford 3 more shoes in the following 2 months. And that makes sense for the person. All right. So let's get into the details of how you now do that. All right. So you ask the prospect says, oh, I don't have money. Okay. Now you go ahead and you say, okay, no problem. I hear you. I hear you loud and clear. But let me ask you a hypothetical question, right? And now this is a question you're going to frame. You can tweak this however you like, you're most comfortable with. But this is something I like to ask my prospects sometimes. And I say, let's say something happens and there's undeniable proof that you're going to go to jail right now if you're unable to cough out 50,000 naira in the next 7 days. Something happens right now, and if you cannot provide 50,000 naira in the next 7 days, you are going to go to Kirikiri. Kirikiri is a jail in Nigeria. You're going to go to Kirikiri, right? And you tell, oh, this is not real. It's a hypothetical question. It's not real, but just, walk with me. Something happens, and if you cannot provide 50,000 naira in the next 7 days, you're going to go to jail. Will you be able to come up with 50,000 naira to save yourself from going to jail? Would you be able to do anything possible, legal or illegal, to get 50,000 naira to save yourself from going to go and spend only God knows how long in jail? Right? Now, if you're able to frame this question and posture it properly when you're speaking with your prospects, now the answer to that question is going to be yes. Anybody is going to want to do what it takes to get them the amount of money Your product it's not going to cost an arm and a leg, I'm sure, right? Anybody is going to be reasonable enough to do whatever it takes to get that money to save themselves from something as damning as going to prison, right? So, quite frankly, this could go either way. The answer is going to be either yes or no. The prospect tells you, yes, I'm definitely going to look for the money so I don't go to jail, right? Now, when the prospect answers yes, now your next response is going to now be to make them see your product as an investment that is worthy of taking top priority. Now, this is where your guarantee or additional offer comes in. Now, let's say I'm selling 7 firm, for instance. So my response is now going to be along the lines of, look, what if I told you that 7 firm is backed by a 90-day guarantee? That if you're able to follow every single thing that Prince Richuka is going to show you inside of this program, you are going to be able to make your first 500K in the next 30 days, right? And when you say that, you let it sink in and you tell them, are you going to be willing to? Then you insert the outcome. Are you willing to do what it takes to make 500K in the next 30 days? Of course, the logical answer to that is going to be yes. So now you see that you have now succeeded in helping to frame the product as worthy enough of the prospect doing what it takes to get the money, the prospect believing that the product is able to give them the outcome that they want. Remember, all this comes down to your posturing and the confidence of your delivery. Now, again, I don't want to assume that everything is going to always be smooth and dandy. There are situations where the prospect would have answered you no. That look, I mean, if 50K is going to save me from going to Kirikiri, I probably will go to Kirikiri. Now, in that case, that is a sale that's never going to happen. And that is okay. You need to be okay with that fact. You cannot close everybody, right? So we need to always make our peace with that. Now, there are people who I always say this, like, if somebody is genuinely like dead broke, number one, it means that your sales funnel has done a bad job of filtering. It means that you don't have any means of filtering and the wrong kind of people have found their way into your funnel. Now, this means that you should now go back to your funnel and make sure that you insert checkpoints to make sure that the kind of leads who come to your funnel and say, oh, if 10K would save my life, I probably would die, right? Those kind of people, you should find a way to make them not to even be in your funnel. How do you do that? Let's say at the beginning of your webinar, you say something like, if you cannot afford 50,000 naira for a product, you should probably not be here right now. This is not for you. Now that might sound harsh, but trust me, it's better to scare off low quality leads than to have them fill up your funnel and then increase the amount of work that you have to do down the funnel, right? It's better you put all those kind of checkpoints from one you're generating your leads down to the point where you're doing the sales call to kind of reduce the number of low quality people that come into your funnel. Now, like I said, this question would bring one of two answers, yes or no. Now, in the case of yes, we'll insert your guarantee or your additional offer. Now, your additional offer could be something like, what if I told you that I was going to work with you one-on-one and provide you support for the next 30 days to help you hit your first 500K doing this business in the next 30 to 45 days? And the person, oh, okay. The person is going to feel a level of comfort that, oh, since this person is going to be working directly with me, it means that I'm kind of covered in the sense that, there's no way I'm going to fail. And, they have the confidence that, okay, this is an investment that is going to pay off because I have this person who obviously knows what they're doing to walk me through it. So a guarantee or an additional offer are the two things that are capable of doing this for you. And you also always end this statement by telling them, would you be willing to insert the outcome? Would you be willing to make an additional 500K per month in the next 30 days? Who wouldn't want that? The answer to that is yes, right? And as you can see, we're always framing our questions so that the logical answer to them would be yes, because we want our prospect to keep on telling us yes. Because the more yes they say, the more we're pushing them towards the point where they pay for our products. Okay. All right, guys. If you have questions as I'm talking, please feel free to let me know in the comments. Okay. All right. Now, another very popular objection that you can hear all the time is, oh, it's too expensive. It's too expensive, right? It is too expensive. Now, when you hear this particular when you hear this particular objection, you should know that when someone says this, it's because they haven't yet understood the value of the product you're offering them, or they cannot afford it. It's one of those two, right? Now, your goal first to find out which one. Is it that they don't understand the value of what you're giving them? Because if they understand the value that, oh, this thing could actually be worth a lot more. This thing is something that can help me get, say, 500K, 1 million. I mean, 50K shouldn't be too much for it, right? So even they say it's too expensive, so it's either they don't understand the value of what they are getting, or they simply cannot afford it. So first, you want to find out which one, right? You want to find out which one. So once you hear that question, oh, it's too expensive, your first goal is to make it seem surprising. That has an effect. So someone tells me, oh, 7 frame is too expensive at 60K. And I'm like, really? Too expensive? And I wait for like 3 to 5 seconds. So that has an effect. And why that is happening, the prospect is actually thinking, oh, huh. They will not say this out, but in their head, they're actually having that mental battle. Oh, and they're going to go ahead to a friend, right? And you say, really? And they say, oh, yes. Now, remember I told you that when this objection comes, it's one of two things. It's either they don't understand the value or they cannot afford it. If they cannot afford it, there's nothing you can do. There's no marketing that you're going to do that's going to increase their bank balance. Okay? So you want to find out which one it is. If is that they don't understand the value of what you're getting, then there's a solution. You can bring that to the fore. But if they cannot afford it, you can also do the work of making sure that they understand the value of what they're getting. And then it's now up to them to go do what it takes to get the money to buy the product. All right. So your next response is going to be along the lines of, all right, I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying that is expensive, but compared to what, if you don't mind me asking? Compared to what? What are you comparing it to? Are you comparing it to another product that can do the same thing for you, that can achieve the same result for you, right? The product is probably going to respond, oh, I don't know, 60K, 70K. Why is it not 20K? Why is it not 30K, right? So something I normally do in this case is I compare the price of what I'm selling to something that is relatable. Let's say I'm selling a product that is 50K, for instance, right? I'm selling a product that is 50K, for instance. The price of a decent meal at, let's say, a highbrow restaurant on the island for 2 people is going to be around 40 to 50K, right? So you want to know what is going to be relatable for that particular prospect, and this is going to change for different people. Let's say you ask them, okay, Mr. X, sorry, where tell me, where do you live? and they tell you, oh, I live in Ikoyi, I live in Victoria Island, I stay in Ogun State, or I stay in Ibadan, right? Here you need to, come up with something really creative. And they tell you, oh, they probably live in a highbrow area. You can use the price of food at a high class restaurant and say, oh, if you took a girl out, on a date to so and so place, one date, you're probably going to spend the same amount of money that this product cost. And that food will probably not change your life, but this would. Another example is another example is let's say the price of a new high heel shoe for a lady. Most of these shoes cost somewhere around 20 to 30K. And then you can compare the price of your product to that. Say, oh, the price of the next shoe you're going to get for your birthday or Christmas is probably the same price with this product. But you see, it's just a shoe. But this product actually has the potential to, make you 7 figures in the near future. So now when you do that, number one is that you have made the price of the product no longer a scary giant. In their head, the price of the product is no longer a scary figure because now it's relatable, right? Now it is relatable. Now, next, you're now going to proceed to break down the components of the offer. And you follow it up by saying, oh, I'm not even sure you understand all the things that are in this product, number one. And then you start to break down the components of the offer. And you tell them, oh, look, it contains this. That's probably going to show you how to do XYZ. It also contains this. That's going to show you how to do XYZ. It contains that. That's going to do. It also contains, and you can only say these things if you understand the you are selling. And then the final knockout is that you let them know how easy it's going to be to recoup the investment. So let's say I like to use 7 Firm as an example. So let's say 7 Firm sells at say 40K, 50K. And you tell them, look, if once you get this product and you learn how to build a profitable business selling online, and you start to make some sales, for any product you choose. In just 2 sales, you have made your money back. Oh, and somebody here and like, because if I learn this thing in just 2 sales, I've broken even. I've made my money back. So that way, again, you have reduced the risk in their head. Number one, now in your response, you did 3 things. You compare the price of the product to something relatable. The price is no longer scary. You broke down the components of the product, the offer. Now they've seen the value. Next is you reduce the risk of the product by letting them know how easy it is for their money to come back to them by using that product. These 3 things are the most essential things to be able to tackle this objection of, hey, it's too expensive. Now, this will only work for somebody who did not understand the value of the product you're offering, and somebody who, even though they cannot afford it, but they are willing to do what it takes to get it. Right? And now, once you do this, the prospect is they're going to be like, okay, all right, I'm going to work on it and I'll get back to you. And then, with your content nurturing system, your weekly broadcast and your status, you continue to nurture them without being desperate, right? And the sale will come. Now, another popular objection that also comes around is, does it work? How much have you made? Does this thing work? Right? Or if it's a money-making product, they want to know how much you have made. Right? Now, when this question comes in, it means that they don't trust you. And that's not your fault. Right? That is normal. It's normal for strangers to not trust each other. Right? But you know what? Trust is earned. Trust is not gained in an instant. People earn other people's trust, and trust takes some time to build. So it's okay if someone doesn't trust you in the beginning. But what you now have to do after someone has indicated their distrust is what matters. Number one, your posture in tackling this objection should reflect confidence, right? Should reflect confidence. That's why I hammer a lot on not being desperate when you're trying to close the sale. All right. So how do you respond to this? Does it work? And number one, when we're in the product selection criteria, I mentioned that you only sell products that have social proof, right? You only sell products that have social proof. Now, social proof are testimonials. If the product you're trying to sell doesn't have proof, if there are not people that have used the product and can vouch for it, right? You don't have any proof that the product works. So you reinforce social proof of the product testimonials without sounding desperate, right? By leveraging other people's results. Someone tells you, oh, does 7 firm work? You can easily go on the sales page and say, oh, here what this guy has to say. Listen to this video. This is somebody who bought the product. This is exactly what they think about it. Tell me what you think. And you send that to them, right? We have lots of product testimonials that you can share with people, right? And any product you choose to sell, you can always reach out to the product owner and tell them, okay, look, I need testimonials for this product. And someone asks you, oh, does it work? Bam, you share with them testimonials. Now, even if you share with them testimonials, you're not still going to gain their trust in an instant, right? Remember, I told you trust is gained, right? It is gained and earned. It doesn't just happen quickly, right? Even as as a man or as a lady, as a man, when you walk up to a lady you like and you're trying to woo her, of course she's going to think, oh, this guy probably just wants to get in my pants. But what does the guy go ahead to do? He goes ahead to try to gain her trust, try to build a friendship, right? And who knows, something might happen at the end of the day. But you see that he doesn't just meet, he doesn't just meet a lady and bam, she trusts him, you know, even though that might happen on very rare occasions. But for the most part, people are not going to trust you on in a quick instant. But what is now going to make you gain their trust is your content nurturing, right? You've saved the leads number, they saved yours. They are getting weekly broadcasts from you. They are reading your WhatsApp status. Now, what are you posting? Right? The content should now reflect, okay, success stories of other people that have used that product and they are succeeding. Oh, and they're seeing that from a distance, and those content they are going to be breaking down the distrust they have for you. And they will not come and tell you right away, but trust me, you are gaining their trust little by little, right? Until you fully gain it, right? Your consistency in reminding them about the product with your weekly broadcast, your WhatsApp status, right? And the content you're putting out there, social proof, testimonials, is how you start to gain the trust little by little until you gain it totally. So these are the 4 most popular objections that are going to stand in your way of closing a sale. And with the responses that I've given you here, this is exactly how you crush them. Okay? So the words that I've put in this particular slides, they are not words that you should just copy and paste. That's why I try to explain the psychology around why this question, why that question, and then why this response. So if you're chatting with somebody or you're on a call where you have to speak your local language, let's say you're Ghanaian and you have to speak Twi, or you're Nigerian and you have to speak Yoruba or Igbo to the prospect, you're not going to start trying to use these words I've written here, right? You're going to localize it because now you understand why every response is where it is and you understand the reason for it. And then you can localize it and adapt it to your unique situation and then respond contextually to the particular circumstance that you are facing with the lead that you're talking to. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, and that is exactly how you crush objections when you're trying to close your sales with your leads. In the next module, we're going to dive into the world of email marketing. And that's it for tonight. And I'll see you in the next module. Of course, you know how we do. Take a screenshot of the screen that you're seeing right now, and then go on Twitter and leave a review of what you've learned from this class, and make sure you use the hashtag 7firm. I'm always engaging with your tweets, right? And who knows, I'm going to reach out to some of you that I'm reading your tweets, and I might give you something special in your inbox. So take a screenshot of the page you're looking at right now and go post the tweets. You can tag me at Prince Will Chuka and make sure you use the hashtag 7firm. And I'll see you in the next module.